meeting of minds being held by Colin. And normally we have about 700 people logged on. I think at most about 1,200, 1,300. But during this specific meeting, it was way more than 2,000. I think at the peak it was like 2,400. So for those of you who didn't watch it and did not participate, it's now available in the GoCore app. So you can listen through there, and it's really worth the time. And Colin here did an amazing presentation running through the test here at the Leader Council meeting, and I'm very happy to have you with us also, Colin, here during our director meeting here to run through more details. So the word is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Hilda. And good afternoon, I think it is, to most people, if it's not evening or early morning, wherever you are in the world. It's nice to see you all, and it was nice to see so many of you. Is it last week, a week and a half ago, when we were all in Oslo together? It was fantastic, incredible. I think everybody agrees it was a huge leap forward. With regards to the Zinzino song, as any of you who know me, I had no influence on that song. Otherwise, there'd be far more guitars and drums, and it'd probably be a little bit faster and more aggressive. So rest assured, it's quite a nice little friendly song that you can all listen to.
It
But
can
I'm
always
going to take
be
you.
something else, Colin, just to say.
Oh,
You can make it the next level. So it can be a more rock and roll song next time. So don't worry.
leave it to me. I am. But I'm here to talk about the gut health test. I am sure some of you, if not all of you, joined the meeting of minds last week, which was an absolute joy to deliver, especially that it was so close to the launch of the gut test. Watching all of the excitement across the week about the gut test, which continues now, we're still on that wave, the attention that it's bringing to us. And we delivered the meetings of minds, which was exceptional by any standards. And I can say that because I'm just the host. I just sit and listen like all of you. It's just I've got the front row seat and I can ask the questions. Martina was incredible. Her she took us by the hand through more of the background knowledge and science that's behind the test. And because that's now available in the Go Core, I'm not going to just repeat her presentation to you. We are going to be out in the field and online delivering talks about the gut health test so that people can better understand it. You've got a huge amount of resources now that Gabrielle has equipped you with that's going to help you to understand this better. My task in this is to make it simple. And I say that here and now as a precursor to the fact that I don't want you all to become scientists. Every moment you spend on developing your understanding of science is a moment less that you are spending on the really powerful part of our business, which is building networks, which is reaching people, sharing a simple message, and helping to transform health all around the world. We have scientists, we have incredible scientists, and we have a network of scientists. And I know some of you have a science background, and that's fantastic. But I promise you, in my over 30 years now of experience of working in clinical health, public health, health and fitness, the simpler you make it, the more appreciated it is. Okay. And I'm learning all the time. When I go through this, I look at how I've done it and I try to simplify it again and simplify it again. And when any of you have ever approached me and asked me for information about the balance test, I always say the same thing. Don't get lost in the details. Stick to the headlines because they're the things you want to change. They're your gross indicators. Just stay there. We provide a lot of drop down information because we have a wide audience. We have health practitioners, we have doctors, we have medics, and some of them, for whatever reason, they like to delve into those finer details. But actually, in those finer details, there's a lot of change and there's a lot of turnover. And the reality is, the meaningful thing is always at the top. It's those indicated bars. And it's the same with the gut health test. Now, I am emphasizing the title of this test. It is the gut health test. It is not a test of your microbiome or your microbiota. And so when people are getting lost because they haven't unlearned the things that they've been taught for the past 20 years about bacteria and how many bacteria are present. And when I did this online stool test, it told me I had all these bacteria. The response is, so what? So what? We know what's there, but we don't know what they're doing. And because our microbiome and our biota is so unique, the same measure for two people can mean entirely different things. Or what makes it more complicated is, let's say we do a stool test and I've got 10 million of a certain strand of bacteria, and Gabriella's done the test and she has 5 million. What does that mean? Does that mean I'm better? Does it mean she's better? Does it mean I'm worse? What we don't know is what any of those bacteria did. And so now, where we have positioned ourselves is right on the cutting edge, the cusp of the very latest research and evidence that's available out there. The team have done an incredible job of sifting through the very best evidence. We've conducted our own trials to develop what you now have in your hands, which is the gut health test. And what we're doing here that's entirely different is we're listening to the conversation that goes on within our inner workings. We're listening to the conversation that is being had by microbes through those metabolites, and we're finding out whether or not what we're doing is leaning towards a resilient immune system and therefore better health, or a more stressful situation, which is a compromise. And remember, we are a preventative health company. So everything we do is with the ambition to optimize health and to avoid an unwanted condition. This is not a diagnostic tool. Because again, one of the other questions that's come through is, well, I can go to my doctor and my doctor can do a stool test and they can tell me if I've got this or if I've got that. This is not diagnostic. This is all about health. This is not sickness. This is a health test. That said, and I'll say this forever and I'll say it forevermore, no matter what health challenge you are dealing with, optimizing your nutritional health status is always a good idea. Doesn't matter what it is. You can take any condition, any disease from the list and say, Col, does it help if I've got this? And the answer will always be yes. Because no matter what the challenge is, optimizing your health status, your nutritional health status, will always improve your situation and your outcome. So whilst this is not diagnostic, it's telling us something really meaningful and insightful about our immune system. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring up a PDF. It's an example of a test result, and I'm just going to show you those top lines. Okay. And like everything else, when it comes to biology, it's all about balance and it's all about ratios, the dynamic art of equilibrium. That is what biology is. It's never about good and bad. It's about sufficient amounts, order, getting rid of chaos, making sure that things are in check and things are in balance. And that's what we have here. We have markers that stand alone, but we also work in ratio. So the three words that you do need to become familiar with, okay, as we roll out more and more of the gut health test, are IPA, kinorine, and tryptophan. Those three words need to become penetrated into your brain. IPA, kinorine, tryptophan. That's as complex as this is going to get. And now I'm going to bring up the PDF. I'm going to take you through this, okay? Okay. So here we have, over here, you can see something that we're working on that you'll be able to read in a few months' time, hopefully. It might be paper 2. It might not be paper 2. It is paper 2, but I'm not going to show you. That will be published in the scientific peer review soon. But what I want you to draw your attention to is this PDF here. So let me bring that up to here. And let me move you good people over here. Now then, similar to the balance test, which you'll all be familiar with, you have here your gut health index. And in this instance, the person is what we call medium high. I'll explain these in a moment. Our IPA level is moderate at 1.2. Our microbiome immune support is also moderate. Our gut microbiome efficiency is moderate, and our immune stress is low, which is a positive indicator. So let's go through these and have a look at the different categories, the more detailed results. Now, a lot of people have said, okay, so I take my test, what do I do? And I could discuss this all day, but I'm going to make it really simple. So here we've linked it directly to xenobiotic. And the reason being is we just know how positive and powerful the relationship is between dietary fibers and those IPA levels. Okay, we know, you all know, dietary fiber are the key to gut health. Most people in the world consume less than 50% of the recommended intake of dietary fibers on a daily basis. And that is literally everywhere. And you might think, well, everyone I know is really good at eating dietary fibers. But you live in the exact same bubble that we all live in. We are the health conscious, the health minded. We're the ones who are proactively trying to manage our health in a really good way. Most of the world is not like that. And that's why each and every single one of you has a business for life. Because if you just keep going to the next person and the next person and the next person having a conversation about health and how they can make improvements, 99.9% of the people you meet can make an improvement, even the ones who think they're doing well. Because you just don't know what's happening under the skin unless you do a test. We take the guesswork out. And you will all know, and I've seen this a lot, not just in my Zinzino years, but across my whole career. People who are fit and active and think they've got everything going, and then find out that's not necessarily the case. That's why we work towards the path of improvement. So the first thing we do is we recommend xenobiotic. But I'm going to let you all into a secret. That's not a secret. If you add balance oil to this, so if you say to a person, okay, we've got your score, we need to improve, and I am going to encourage you to take balance oil and xenobiotic, it's a multiplier. We know the best results, the most positive change come off taking balance oil with xenobiotic. That's the big positive change. So that's where this test from a Zinzino product point of view really gets behind it. And we almost considered calling it the health protocol test because your body will always need and benefit from micronutrients. And that's where those extend come into it, their own. But if we're going to get really straight down the middle, from a product placement point of view, that person's going to receive their results and you're going to say the fast ticket to making improvements are balance oil and xenobiotic. We want people to move. Movement is central to human health. We want people to move. We want them to be physically active and exercise. And we know that both of those have a hugely powerful positive impact on overall gut health. So we're sharing a positive message. And likewise, we want people to eat more fruits and vegetables. And you may have watched your favorite Instagrammer, your favorite influencer, who has promised you that this is not natural and that years ago we emerged from caves and all we did was knock a dinosaur on the head and eat all of its meat, and that's how humans should eat. We should all be carnivores. It's just not true. It's just not true. We were foragers before we were hunters. We've always benefited from eating off the land, whether that's berries or vegetables or other types of fruits. They are packed with fibers and other types of vitamins, dietary hydration, and only 1 in 10 people eat 3 of the recommended 5 per day. So we know people can make an improvement in this area. So that's our central message. From a product point of view, we can help you and we can make it easy. You're going to get a powerful, positive response from balance oil, xenobiotic. And then we want you to move, and as always, embrace diversity in your diet. But let's look at those results. So your main result, your main indicator, and I promise you now, if you want to keep this as simple as you possibly can, I would say this is all you need to look at. your gut health index. And here in this example, a person has 71%. And you can see the way it's color coded from red into amber into green. And they're towards the bottom end of green. So that's medium high. So it's very positively weighted. We want to share a positive message with this test. We don't want to alarm people. We're not trying to scare people into better choices. So we've positively weighted our language, and this is medium high, 71%. But you see it's moderately high levels of microbial protection with relatively low stress, and it's promising. This is a promising profile. This is a very good, what I'd say, a good start point. Now we're going to delve into it, that IPA, which is the one we know is really sensitive to fiber. So xenobiotic, it's sensitive to polyphenols, balance oil, and the food choices we make. And what we can see here in this individual's response is that it's moderate. Okay, so there's room for improvement because that top score is not perfect. It's good, but it's not perfect. And we should always be looking to improve. And here we can see a room for improvement. Now we go down to the immune support. And this is where we have a first ratio, which is IPA versus that kynurenine, KYN, kynurenine. And what we see here is, again, we see a moderate score. Okay. There is some microbial activity supporting the immune balance, but there may still be signs of immune activation that can be improved. So again, we've seen that top line, 71%, not 100%. What are our areas for improvement? And now we can see there is an improvement to be had in overall consumption of IPA and then this IPA-kynurenine relationship. Now we're going to compare IPA with tryptophan. So these are our three that we've discussed. And here we see moderate again, and you can see that indicated in this amber score. Your gut microbiome efficiency score is moderate. This suggests your gut is making some IPA from the tryptophan. So there's some conversion going on from the tryptophan, from tryptophan to IPA, but it could be supported better. Activity, exercise, dietary choices, getting in there with that xenobiotic and balance oil, really going to galvanize this and support it. And then we get to the immune stress indicator, which is the relationship between kynurenine, which if kynurenine is too high, is too much of an indicator of a stressed immune system, and tryptophan. And tryptophan is there converting into that IPA for us. Your immune stress indicator is low. And this aligns with the optimal reference group, but it's at the bottom of optimal. And this indicates a balance between tryptophan metabolism and immune. And so they're all the categories you need to look at. And that's all the sense you need to be able to look at it, is to look at where those scores are and consider for yourself and the people you work with, where's the room for improvement and what I expect to shift when I'm consistent. Now I'm going to close this down. I mean, this is an example one, which we are going to make available. I know people want to have a look at this and they'll want to use it as part of conversations and presentations. So we're going to make this one here available for people. But I'm going to conclude my little bit with just trying to simplify things, because every time we discuss this, it's a learning opportunity. And over time, through repetition, more and more of this is going to make more and more sense to you. We'll be really consistent with our message. And what we want you to do is just be really consistent with how you utilize this. Stick to the basics. Don't let somebody take you off track and start to discuss the microbiome and this bacteria and that bacteria. Go, we didn't measure that. Why would we? That's been done for 20 years. It's barely helped anyone. We're trying to help people to make better informed food choices, activity choices. So we're measuring gut health, not populations. Be confident. You can make that claim, and I'll tell you why. The very latest, most compelling, cutting edge researcher in the area gets right behind what we've done. I promise you, we are right at the front on the cusp of the wave. The other thing this test is going to reveal to each of us and to the people we work with is consistency. Because balance oil only works when you take it. And so does xenobiotic. And a lot of people will say, yeah, I take it and I take this much some days. I might miss a few days. I might miss a Monday, or sometimes I don't take it at the weekend. Or they'll say, well, I've paused my order because I've got 2 bottles in the cupboard. You should never have 2 bottles in the cupboard. Not unless you've willfully ordered too much. Because if you're taking the right amount, dose dependent for your weight, then you should be working your way through those orders. You should be keeping up and you should take it every day. It's a simple habit, is you take this much oil every single day. Xenobiotic. I know that some people react. You just got to build up your tolerance. But when you get there, it's all about staying there. If you want to run a marathon, it's not about running 1 mile once every now and then showing up on race day. It's about being consistent, getting those miles in all the time so you can build up your tolerance so that you're fit enough to run the marathon. With balanced oil and xenobiotic, we make ourselves fit and robust enough to take part in the marathon of life, to be healthy and to be well, and to nurture the gut, to nurture every single one of those 37 trillion cells. What you have now is a marker of consistency. You are the outcome of the things you do most often, and consistency is key. Little steps will get you there. So balance test and gut health test are the two fundamental pillars of human health and well-being. One is a measure of how well those 37 trillion cells that make up who we are, how they are taking nutrients on board, how they are eliminating waste products from that nutrient on board, and how malleable, dynamic the cell is, and that's cellular turnover. And the other one is giving us a direct insight to the state of our immune system, our immune function. And we need our immune system to function optimally in order for us to deal with seasonal flus and coughs and colds, all these things. But even if you go to the gym and you exercise, that elicits an immune response. Our immune system is the magic of what keeps the whole show moving forward positively. Balance test and gut health test, you have the two pillars, the strongest pillars of insight and measurement into human health that anyone could ever ask for. And with that, you can transform the health, well-being, and lives of countless people who need our support. So, in all areas, keep it simple.
Thank you, Colin. I'm so happy today. First of all, I've got my new Cincino white jacket on with a white, nice little logo on it. So I feel so happy. I got it as a present at the event, but after the event, I was so busy, so I opened it this morning. So I'm very grateful, whoever in the team that gave me this one. Thank you so much. So that's amazing. I did take my test this morning. I did do a lot of these tests in the research. When the test didn't work, I think I've delivered so many of them. So I did get it taken this morning on a fasting stomach. And because of Michael, my friend, that I trigger it into doing longer, more fasting. Then Michael is now starting an 80-hour fast. And I said, I'm joining you. So I'm on an 80-hour fast. So at the end of that, I'm actually going to take a new one to see if there is any difference in something like that, because I've never tried that before, and I always like to try out a lot of crazy stuff. But for most of you, 120 day is the proper period, because then you see the real impact of a dietary change over time. While when I'm doing this for test purposes, doing one now and one 4 days later, that gives us insight more from a technical, where should we look, what should we develop, what works. But if I then stop fasting, then 4 days later, my microbiome is going to be different again. So it doesn't give me real value in my dietary change over time, which is what we work with. And now to simplify this down to my level, Colin, I know that there is a lot of bright people here. But basically, the gut test, if I have an elevated kynurenine, that means that when I eat food, that food is struggling and it's causing immune stress in my system. Would that be a simple way of saying it?
It is. It does simplify it, but those other factors come in as well. But that there's a simple logic to that. Yeah.
Yeah, and if I have elevated levels, a good level of IPA, which is the other thing we talked about, that means that when I eat food, it turns into fuel in the proper way, putting me in a state for weight loss, putting me in a state for performance, putting me in the state for all the good things that I want.
Absolutely. And I know we discussed this morning, and maybe you should mention it now, is that when your immune system is under stress, actually one of the mechanisms that your body adopts to protect itself is to maintain fat stores because it's thinking if the worst happens, I need energy that will make you survive the longest. So it's really hard to manage your weight, to lose weight when you're dealing with a lot of immunological stress. And so that's one of the main reasons why we want to position people in a more resilient state of immune function.
Yeah, which means that if I fail this test, meaning that I had a bad score in this test, I'm actually eating food and it's causing me not to turn it into fuel, but it's causing me to turn it into more of immune stressors than necessary. Of course, you get some fuel from it, but it might cause you to want to overeat. It might cause you to do a lot of things that you don't want to do. And when I then change my diet and I'm able to pass this test, I'm back to where my microbiome is supporting me. When I eat food, it becomes fuel and it's supporting my immune function so that I stay healthy and everything that I want to achieve is actually being achieved. And that's bringing it to a very simple level, maybe a little bit too simple for Colin, and that's okay. He's the scientist. But for me, that is going to explain it to my father and my mom and to my brother and everyone around me. This is my way of using what's in the test, saying that we eat food all the time. If you fail this one, your food isn't turning into the fuel you want, and it's actually causing stress to your immune system. By changing it, which we can do by either adding synbiotic, that's the first one, but the secondary one is the balanced oil because we have background data showing that the results are better when we combine it. This is the big lifter, but this is a supporter. Then we actually make our body in an optimal state or the microbiome in an optimal state for doing with the food what it's supposed to do, benefiting us in all areas. And it's quite fascinating that we eat the same protein or amino acid, tryptophan, and based on the diversity of your gut, it either becomes a problem for you or it becomes a benefit from you. So your food actually goes into a positive funnel or into a negative funnel based on your microbiome. And this is revolutionizing and it's very exciting. Thank you, Colin, for sharing the in-depth details. And then all of you will be very good at this, but I also want it to be in a message where people can pick it up very easily. This is the test I want to take, not first. This is the first test you want to take because if your cells aren't working, then, well, this does improve it, but you want to take this first. This is our main mission, bring the world back into balance. And this is the secondary test to it, making sure that your microbiome is also at a diversity that supports you. So this doesn't overshadow each other's. Each one can be amazing. If you go to a doctor, a health practitioner, maybe this one is easier to lead with because this will pique their curiosity and maybe they understand this one a little bit better. But if you go to your brother and your mother, you want to lead with this one because this one you know how to explain. And this brings our balance oil with all of the stories that we have on that into effect first. And then if they don't get all the results that they want, you bring up this one to sell them on the full health protocol, finishing kind of the job of making sure that they become as healthy as we can with nutritional supplements.